Hi guys, and welcome to episode 1 of the JT Fitness Health and Fitness podcast with myself, Jordan Taylor from JT Fitness. So I wanted to cover today the life of a PT, what it takes to become a PT, the route you need to take, different options you may have, your employment options, workloads, and then a quick Q&A at the very bottom and some top tips from myself in what would make or / help a PT in the future. So, those listening, hopefully, obviously, you have some interest in fitness, and hopefully, some of you are actually interested in becoming PTs yourself. So, obviously, you've taken that passion of training for yourself and that knowledge, and you want to pass it on to others and hopefully make some money from it. So, the first things first is obviously you're going to need to be qualified. Without qualification, you will not be insured. Gyms won't let you train people. So you need the qualifications. So there's 2 qualifications you must have, essentially 3. So the 3 you must have is the level 2 gym instructor, okay, and the level 3 personal trainer, obviously. And finally, you will most likely, some cases not, but some cases you'll need a first aid qualification of some sort. Emergency first aid at work, I believe, is the one I have, which validates my insurance. So you will need those 3 to start. Now, when selecting your courses, don't just go online, type in PT course and pick the first one that turns up. Do your research, guys. There's a few companies out there that will literally just want to take your money, give you a little bit of education, and then send you on your way. And also there's a few companies out there that are Reps accredited, or CRIMSA now is partnered up with Reps. So Reps stands for Register of Exercise Professionals. Any PT trainer worth his word or her word should be on Reps. Okay, every year you need to renew your membership. Basically what it is a database of all trainers that have took on and passed their accredited courses. So when you go on, I would probably suggest going onto the Reps website and finding your training courses via them, just to make sure the course is accredited and obviously valuable, because these courses aren't cheap. I think I did my level 2 and level 3, and I think it was in the area of about $3,000. So the last thing you'd want is to spend $3,000 and suddenly realise that the course is invalid and you can't actually train anyone or start work as a PT. So make sure your courses that you pick are Reps accredited, and that also does mean that future courses, less so important, but try your best to make sure future courses are also covered by the Reps register. So take, for example, I did a kettlebell course that was accredited, so that means I can go ahead and teach kettlebell classes. And it's really just sort of sorting out the nitty-picky of, if you are not officially accredited to teach something, you could potentially run the risk of getting sued or have a lawsuit played against you. And obviously that's the last thing we want to do. So make sure your education is Reps accredited. All right. So on these courses, what to expect. So the level 2, I personally found very comfortable. I'd been training for about 3 years before starting this course. Obviously, I had a decent interest in health and fitness. I'd researched my own sort of research, watched plenty of YouTube videos, so I knew some odds and sods. There was nowhere near level trainer that I should be training people, but, I handled my own training fairly decently. And that actually helped a ton, because the level 2 really does cover the basics. It is essentially taking someone that knows nothing of fitness to taking them to a point where they know some of fitness. So you'll cover a few basic principles. So the training principle is going to teach you a few certain exercises, how to use the cardio equipment, how to use some resistance machines, a few free weight based exercises. To a general level, again, nothing specialist, but to a general level, they'll help you cover up. You'll have the nutrition segment, or at least I did. Different courses will be run a little differently, but I had a nutrition segment, and that basically just went over again the basics of what a calorie is, what a carbohydrate is, what a protein, what a fat is, etc. So just covering some very low level nutrition stuff. and the anatomy and physiology side. Now, that stuff I did find a bit more difficult. So that is going through the correct names of your bones, your muscles, the joint movements, etc. So that one, took a bit of learning. I believe the level 2, you don't go into that much detail. I think it's 10 to 20 muscles and 10 to 20 bones. But again, it's been a long time, so don't quote me on that one. So the level 2, the gym instructor qualification, what that will give you access to gym floors. So essentially you'll be the person giving inductions, helping out around the gyms. Predominantly you'll be almost a glorified cleaner in some cases, but you'll have a foot in the door, which is very important in this industry. So the level 2 won't get you far, but it'll get you into the door. Some places will be adamant on having the level 3. So some places might not take you on, but a level 2 should get you in the door at most places. So talking of which, the level 3 course. For level 3 course, you do learn a fair bit more. So again, covers the three same basic topics. So you've got a training portion. So we'll go into some more different training methods. They'll teach you stuff like supersets, trisets, giant sets, stuff like that. So again, different ways to train, some circuit-based stuff. Your nutrition, again, steps up a notch. Why should we consume this? What happens into the body when you break down a protein? Where does that protein go? How does it work? Same with fats and carbohydrates. Again, just a little bit more detail there. Again, nothing huge, but a nice foundation. And finally, the A&P stuff, which again, I personally found very difficult still, because again, that's something I'd never done before. So I think, again, this one goes up to about 20 or 30 different bones, and then the muscles are broken up even further. So take, for example, let's try and think of one now. Let's go, quadricep. So quadricep is obviously the front of your thigh. Now in the level 2, that's fine. In the level 3, you need to break that down into each of the 4 muscles. So again, you can see the difference there, and how much more difficult it can become on some muscles. So, and then the first aid obviously is a general first aid course, cuts, bruises, bumps, breaks, etc. Hopefully you'll never need to use it, but it is worth having. Some places will insist on it, especially if you're going to be left alone by yourself. Say if you're at a small independent gym, you might be the only one on shift, you will must have a first aid just in case. If you're working at a big corporate gym or leisure centre, you might not need it, but honestly, it's just going to really stand out in your CV that you're willing to go above and beyond. So it's definitely worth having the first aid course. Again, whichever one you have, but I think emergency first aid is the one I've got and never had any issues with it. Luckily, I only had to use it once or twice in my 8 years of coaching. So, you've now hopefully got your qualifications. Time-wise, some you can do really quick. I know the level 2 can actually be done in less than a month. Can be done very quickly. And the PT one can take, I think, 3 months is the shortest I've seen it, but I'm sure some could tell you that they go quicker. Obviously, it will depend on how quick you learn, how much time you want to spend into it. So I actually went with the longer base courses. So my PT course was about 6 months long. So again, they're not huge courses. But I actually appreciated that because we managed to cover a lot more topics and go into a bit more detail in each one. Whereas I feel like if we had 4 weeks to study it all, it'd be very rushed. I don't think you'd come out with quite as good knowledge as you would have doing a 6-month course. So don't rush into these shorter courses. Do take your time. You'll learn a lot more, and that will honestly help you a lot more in the future. It's going to make you stand out. Okay. Anyways, so my next point is you've now got your qualifications. And obviously you're looking for employment. That's the whole reason why you did the qualifications, right? Was to be able to open these doors to employment. So I've got kind of 3 different employment options you've got, which could be broken down into about 5, but I'm kind of grouping a couple together here. So your first option would be, say, like a big chain or leisure centre based option. So I'm going to go through pros and cons on each of these. So we'll start with, say, leisure centre and big chains. So what's really good about the leisure centre and big chains is the amount of members they have. generally speaking, they're probably going to have the most members in the area. So they have a giant footfall, they have decent facilities, they can have pretty much all the equipment you need and more, nice showers, swimming pools, all that good stuff. So you get some nice luxuries with working at a big corporate gym or leisure centre. So as a PT, your goal will obviously to be gaining clients. Now, if there's a larger footfall, there's just more of a chance that you're going to get more and more clients, which is fantastic. So if you're just training people, as I say, a generalist, this is probably a really good place to start. And I would probably recommend this to every PT that wants to start off, is go into a big corporate or leisure centre based gym. The footfall's there. There's going to be plenty of other PTs there to support you as well. So generally you'll probably have like someone that's head coach role or a more experienced coach, and they'll be able to help mentor you hopefully. So you're going to pick up information off those guys. You're also going to get obviously a set wage every month, which is nice. You're going to get your guaranteed income. So hopefully it won't take you too many months before you've made your money back on those outlays for those qualifications that you've just spent on. So a guaranteed wage is always very nice. You're going to have all the perks of being employed, sick pay, holiday pay, all that good stuff. And you've got a huge footfall of potential clients. Obviously, as well as a nice gym setup and a nice area to train people in. So what's really good about that? There you go. You've got some good options there. The drawbacks to a big corporate chain leisure centre is there's going to be a lot of competition. So the turnaround rate at some of these leisure centre and big chains are quite scary. Essentially, it's one in, one out as soon as one's out the door. So you're probably going to be in competition with maybe some of these big ones, maybe 10, 15 other trainers. All sort of going to be offering similar goal-driven results as you are, as your general member base is going to be kind of after that weight loss physique sort of work. So if you've got 10, 15 PTs all offering the same sort of thing, it can be quite difficult for someone new to actually gain a few clients. So you're probably going to have to work, a few sessions for free or a few sessions on the cheap or anything like that just to start build up your reputation. So you've got obviously a lot of competition from the other PTs and trainers. Some places will also ask you to hit quotas. So if you're not hitting these quotas, if you're not getting your 5-6 sessions in per week, then unfortunately you could be out the door. So it is a harsh life, but they are again very good in the terms of you have a huge footfall, so you have this huge potential, and you do have a very nice setup already to be training people in, and all your marketing and advertising is pretty much done for already. Another pro as well, actually, while I'm on that subject, I know Virgin for a fact they actually run their own training courses, so you'll get like Virgin Spin and stuff like that, and Les Mills, I believe it is quite a big one as well, where that's more the classes based stuff, so the aerobics and circuits and stuff you can get on those completely free, which again look real nice on your CV. And again, being able to teach classes is quite good as well. It's a great way to meet a load of people. They're not having to pay a lot of money up front to sort of know your training style, personality. So again, there is plenty of ways you can earn a good living from a leisure centre big chain gym. It can just be a little daunting at first that you've got such a big competition and kind of that pressure on your back that you kind of have to succeed, otherwise you're out the door. If any of you are at a leisure centre or big centre gym, drop some comments below. I'd love to hear your experiences there. Personally, I've actually never been to one. I used to train at one, but I've never been a trainer at one. So yeah, drop me a message down below. I'd love to hear your sides and how you find it. So the next one we're going to look at is the independent gym scene. So this is where I started off. So at the independent gym scene, you have a bit more freedom. So I'll talk you through my experience anyway. It's probably the best way to get this info across to you. So I started off doing free. I worked for free. So when I first started, I went to the training shed in Daventry, and I asked them if they needed any free help. So I'd recently qualified as a PT. I just needed to get some experience and get my name around. So I started helping out with some of the classes, developing the classes myself, sort of a helper to the PT that was coaching at the time. Help them set up, help them go through exercises with people, be kind of their exercise dummy if needed. Clean the gym, talk to members, sign them up, did their inductions. Again, all for free. Which worked out really well for me. Luckily, I was offered a full-time job shortly after that. So I'd only been doing free work for maybe 2 to 3 weeks. So it wasn't too long. Again, putting yourself out there and just getting that experience is really big. There was a few gyms I was turned away from because I didn't have any experience. I'd sort of been freshly qualified, but no experience in the industry can be a big no-no. Experience is king in a lot of places, so sometimes you're gonna have to do those work for free sort of schemes. Anyway, so luckily I was employed after about 2 to 3 weeks after doing my free labour. So then I moved on into basically just being desk cover. So I was behind the desk, I'd sign people up to the gym, do their induction still. At the time we offered programs completely free with any membership. So again, when someone would sign up for an induction, I could then offer them a program, put something together, and then again book them in for future sessions to go through said program. So again, that is a great way to introduce yourself as a PT, show them what you're about, show them your personality, and sort of gauge their interest. You know, some people will not have a clue what they're doing, so they're going to need possibly more sessions, so you're going to have to maybe push towards that. Some people are going to be pretty clued up, and you won't need to. Maybe you're just doing the plan, and that's maybe the last you'll hear of them. You might get the middle ground where people know what they're doing, but really enjoyed your programs. So they might come back for programming rather than PT. So it's just another stream of income there as well with programming, but we'll get onto that in a second. Obviously with the classes, I was allowed to run as many classes as I wished. So again, if I wanted to do 4 or 5 classes a week, I could. If I wanted to do 1 class a week, that's fine as well. Basically what I started off with a kettlebell class. So I just did the 1 per week. Like I said, I was qualified as a kettlebell coach before I was qualified as a PT. So I could run the classes once per week. Great way to introduce yourself to more people, like I said previously. An independent gym, you're not going to get the same sort of footfall though. So whereas someone starting off an independent gym, you might get 10, 15, even 20 people turn up to your class. My first class at the training shed, I had 2. But you've still got to treat those classes as important as a class of 20, okay? Still deliver that same energy, still deliver that great session as if it was for a big class than a small class, okay? Again, word of mouth is going to be key here. The more people speak about you, have more pleasant experiences, word of mouth is going to come along. Again, we'll talk about marketing in a little bit. So again, only had about 2 for my first class. I did that for a few weeks, and then there was a spot opened, a nice 6 o'clock spot, so a real good prime time spot on a Thursday where I started doing the boot camps. And the boot camps for me is where things really picked up, so I kind of found my niche almost. So the kettlebell stuff was really good, but it was very teaching heavy. And at the time, I wasn't quite educated enough to make the teaching heavy stuff, say, entertaining or worth their while. So the bootcamp stuff was really good because essentially it was, all right, I've got 1 hour a week, let's just give them a really hard workout. Had a look at the board that we had and just wanted to make something very different. A lot of the other classes were more spin, more aerobic based. So I wanted to be like, all right, let's do something a little different. Let's do something heavy. Let's do something with barbells, dumbbells, and let's really whack up the intensity rather than being a quote unquote easier class. And that really picked up for me. So from that, people would be interested in programming. People would be more interested in my kettlebell class. So now I've got 2 classes a week. Now it's up to, doubling my numbers. So 4, 5, 6, 7 on average. Again, these numbers aren't going to be that impressive to people that work at corporate gyms. And some people that are really good at classes. Again, they're not big numbers. But personally for myself, who was never big into the classes, I was quite happy with what I had there. But what made me really happy was what I got from the classes. So in a sense of more people were interested in me, myself, in my coaching and my programming, and obviously eventual PT, which is where I wanted to drive myself to. Finally then, the last 2, I'm putting them together, but, the cons. The cons of a small independent gym. So The negative side is that low level of footfall. You're not going to see many new faces. There's only going to be a small handful of people per month that want PT. And again, you are in competition with 3 or 4 other PTs who are a little bit more experienced and potentially have some great expertise areas. Generally, these independent gyms will attract slightly better, slightly higher qualified coaches. Nothing against these big chain gyms. I know plenty of people. I know a really good bodybuilding coach that works at a big chain gym, and he absolutely kills it. So hats off to him. But again, generally the independent gyms will bring out the more higher end coaches, so it is very tricky to get PT clients. So if you think you're going to be jumping in the first month, have 5, 6, 7 clients a week, probably ain't going to happen. A big corporate gym, potentially. A small independent one, probably not. Maybe 1 or 2 a week. So to make your money, it's going to be, again, sitting on that wage, that monthly payment, and then again doing your classes and just wait for the trickle along of PTs that eventually come your way through your classes or hopefully through word of mouth. I don't know if it's a con or not. It's kind of a pro as well, but that independent side. So I was left on my own for 6, 7, 8 hours a shift. It can be very easy just to sit there and do nothing, because you've got no pressure on you, but then that's not going to make you a better PT either. There'll be some days when you're just exhausted. Maybe you've done a 6 a.m. spin class, you're absolutely dead. You've done a 12 p.m. HIIT class, you might be tired in the evening, whatever it is. Sometimes, granted, it might be a bit more of a lazy day and you might just take your time doing the hoovering. Sorry if my bosses are watching this. But sometimes you just absolutely smoke, so maybe you're not doing much. But other days when you're feeling good, you need to be staying productive. So keep getting out there. And funny enough, I keep coming back to clean the gym, but actually the amount of friendships I've made because I was cleaning the gym at the right time, where someone needed a spot or someone had a query or someone had a question. If you go way back in my Instagram, Facebook posts, a lot of the questions that I was getting were from people that I met as I was cleaning the gym or as I was setting up for a class or something like that. So, you know, it's a pro and a con. The pro is, you know, that lack of pressure. It's then less scary, and you can be very creative. It's like I said, if I wanted to do a boot camp class and I wanted to do a load of strongman, I can. Whereas if I'm at a corporate gym, they want a circuits class. It has to be boxercise or step ups or whatever. Whereas with the independent gyms, I've got free reign. I can do whatever I'd like. But it's also obviously the negative, because that pressure isn't on you to be constantly trying to improve yourself, trying to meet new people, etc. like that. So you have to be very driven at a independent gym, because the pressure might not be there. Some places it might be, but I don't think the pressure's the same at a small independent gym than it is a large corporate gym. But you do have the freedom that a big corporate gym wouldn't offer you. So again, it's kind of a middle. It's a pro and a con. So moving on to self-employed and online coaching. So this is an area that I've only recently just delved into. So I've been my own business now, JT Fitness, for just over a year now. So I moved from the small independent gym setup to just going it myself. So what happened was I'd luckily built up a decent client base that I could earn very similar money for almost half the hours. So I jumped at the chance, took the chance, stayed at the same gym, and obviously trained people out of there. So the pros of self-employed, obviously you have your own workload. You can work when you'd like and when you wouldn't like. Whereas, you know, as an employee, you have to work when told. So self-employed is very good for that. You manage your own workload, which is fantastic. You take 100% of the money, which is great too. Again, at these other places, you're probably only going to take a small percentage of what you're actually bringing into the gym. You can be as creative as you like. You can go to different gyms. You can do different types of classes. You can go to different locations. It's just very free. All of it's up to you. The cons, obviously, you haven't got that cushy month-to-month check to lie back on if you don't have a good month. So there's been a few months I've had really, really good months, and a few months I've had really bad months. again, with the self-employed online system, that's the risk you run. Again, the pressure isn't there. You've got to put pressure onto yourself to be doing these things. I think the time we're in right now is a really good example of this, as I would, not necessarily bad PTs, but there'll be a few PTs now are just like, oh, I can't train anyone, that's me done, I'll come back when this is all blown over, which is fine. Hopefully you guys have a very loyal client base and you'll be fine once you come back. And there'll be other self-employed or online coaches now, which I think is predominantly everyone, judging by Instagram and Facebook, but they're producing their workouts, they're producing live classes, check-ins, discounted prices, they're doing all they can to keep you guys fit and active. And that's all done from us. There's no one telling us to do that. It's just, what would I like, what service, what would I like to provide to people to try and, keep my name going and keep obviously all you guys motivated and active. So as a PT, you're going to need to do that yourself. You're going to need to put that self-pressure on you. You're going to need to tell yourself, get out of bed 1 hour early to make sure I have breakfast, make sure I study a little bit longer in the evening or whatever, or I make time to see or reply to these clients. You put that pressure on yourself. If you don't have it, it can very easy, you can just forget about it. You might then start missing sessions, and then all of a sudden your reputation client base goes down. So you've got to put that pressure on yourself. And like I said, that not guaranteed income should be enough pressure, but sometimes it's not for people. So there's a few different employment options. Again, any PTs listening to this right now, again, feel free, drop a message below. Give me some pros and cons that maybe I've missed. Doing small independent, large corporate chains, the self-employed online world. I'd be very interested to hear that for sure. Actually, one more thing on the online portion that I didn't really go into there is, what's fantastic about online coaching is you can coach hundreds of people per week. Okay, so being self-employed face-to-face trainer, as I am, I'm limited by how many hours there are in a day. So if I'm booking in a session, it's going to be 1 hour with one person, 1 hour with the next person. I'm probably going to work maybe 10 hours per day tops before I just lose it and can't deliver a good service. So I'm limited to 10 people per day. Now, if I was doing online coaching, okay, it's going to take me a little while to write up a plan. But when I do my programmed athletes, a lot of them will do the 8 or 12 week option. I write that plan, it's maybe going to take 4 to 6 hours, sometimes less, sometimes more, depends on how complex the plan needs to be. But then that's then done for 12 weeks. So if I can get out one plan, even a day, I'm working half the time, and I can train plenty of people in between as well. So, and especially if they're kind of beginner-ish clients where they don't need that sort of high demand stuff, you can probably bang out 5 or 6 of those a day, no problem. Next day, do another 5 or 6. The amount of people you can train is just greater than it is on a one-to-one basis. It's much more cost-effective as well for the client, rather than the one-to-one can be quite expensive sometimes. But it is worth the money for sure. Getting that one-to-one FaceTime to pick up on your technique and stuff. But again, I'm going to go into why we would use a PT in the Q&As near the end. So yeah, they're the pros and cons that I can think of right now. Again, any others or any questions on those, please do message them below. I'll be sure to reply to everyone that had messaged below. So, just wanted to go over then some of my tips on once you've become a PT, once you've chosen your employment route. Some tips that I feel have really benefited me, and I feel that could really benefit someone that is kind of new to the industry. So the first things first is continue your education. So just because you've got the level 2 and level 3 course doesn't mean you know everything. Continue studying more and more and more. Always find out what's working, different training methods, different nutrition methods, how to optimize sleep, how to optimize stress, digestion, absolutely everything. This can boil down a little bit to whether you want to be more of a generalist or a specialist. So me personally, I want to specialize in becoming a strength coach. So I've attended my strength conditioning level 1, 2 and 3. I've attended my British weightlifting 1, 2 and 3. So I'm kind of delving my way. I'm producing my services to more strength-based clientele. I've also started doing powerlifting as well. The powerlifting level 1 is done. I've signed up for the powerlifting level 2. Hopefully when all this kicks over, I can start that. So I'm specialising towards a strength coach role. So I'm going to pick the qualifications that suit that role. So you would do the same. So if you want to become a physique-based specialist, then you would obviously want to pick your education that delves more towards the physique stuff. But just because you've completed your level 3, guys, doesn't mean you know everything. You should always be continuing to study, read lots of books, watch lots of YouTube, listen to a load of podcasts. Hopefully something like this, I can help you out a little bit. Like I said, been here 8 years now. Hopefully I should have some knowledge, right? So continue education. Number 2 would be learn how to market. So this is the big thing I struggled with when I moved from my independent gym role into self-employed. Was for the many of years my marketing was all done for me. So the gym would post social media stuff, the gym would advertise me to clients walking through the door. As soon as I've left the gym, all that perks go away. I've now got to do my own social media posts. I've got to make sure people know me anywhere. I've got to produce business cards. I've got to produce online content like this. So learn marketing. I wouldn't say I'm no expert, so please don't ask me any good marketing tips. But a few things I can take away as like a beginner trainer, as I mentioned at the start, is work for free. You need that experience. You need people to be talking about you. And a lot of people aren't going to drop 35 40 quid on a session with someone they don't even know who you are or what results you can produce. So learn to market. Social media is the big one right now. Obviously everyone's on it, especially in this time period where there's a lot of people haven't got things to do, so they're scrolling through their phones looking for inspiration or knowledge. So make sure your name pops up. Hopefully obviously then they start following you, maybe they'll inquire, stuff like that. But a really good tip I learned from it was actually my first ever PT. So the guy that used to train me told me this one, which I thought was invaluable, but unfortunately I never got around to using it. So I'll let you guys know and let me know how it goes if you use it. But what's a really good way to gain clients in, say, independent or big chain gyms is train the other staff. So, I mean, train the receptionist, train the, janitor, train the sales team manager. Train people who are going to come in contact with the general public. They're going to see their own results, even if you do it for free. So, the guy that trained me, he trained all the receptionists for, I think it was like half price or something. So the receptionist got in great shape. They lost a load of weight, built some muscle. They weren't paying a lot of money, so they didn't mind it. And obviously the results were there, so they were all happy. What they're going to say is if the general public walks in, they're interested in signing up for the gym. They're going to go through the company's process of, whatever it might be, showing around the gym, going through health and safety. And then they're most likely going to drop your name as well. If you need some help with your gym work, you should contact so-and-so. He's my trainer. Something like that. So train people that come into contact with the public, and it's a great way just to get your name around. So if you've made it half hour into this podcast, that is your golden bit of info that you can take away. And thank you for listening so far. So learn marketing, guys. Spend a lot of time reading, watching, taking information on how to market yourself. Like I said, I'm no expert. I'm constantly learning on it. Produce content was another big one as well. Make sure your social media posts, your YouTube posts, whatever is up to date. And then there's other things you can do as well. But like I said, I'm no expert. Tip number 3 would actually be a little bit of an odd one, is hire a coach yourself. So maybe you've never been trained before. So you've got to develop your own coaching style somehow. And the best way to do it is see how other people do it. So again, like I said, I was lucky enough to be at this independent gym where there was 4 or 5 other trainers that were very high regarded, very knowledgeable. Just got to be a creep. You got to sit back, watch them, see how they interact, see what they're coaching like, what are they offering, what are their price structurings. But you can learn a lot of having a coach yourself. They might do check-ins, how they write their plans, how they structure workouts. You can learn a tremendous amount of someone who knows more than you. And obviously that's just from the business side. Hopefully as well, you're going to learn a load of technique and strength work as well that you can take into your coaching. So again, what you might find, and I'm sure it's happened, I may train someone on how to perform, say, a squat or deadlift, and they might see someone that was performing a similar error they were using, and they might use the techniques that I've shown them. That's absolutely fine. How did I learn? I stole it off someone else. So again, a lot of the information we're going to learn is off someone else. So again, it's absolutely fine, guys. Please hire a coach, learn something off them, their business, their technique-wise, whatever, and pick up bits and bobs of information. And hire multiple coaches too. I think I've had 4 or 5 different coaches now, all to teach me or train me how to get better at Olympic lifting. Luckily, it's paid off. But picked up a lot on how to write programs, how to do check-ins, just by hiring someone that already does it. On that subject as well, my last tip that I feel like would benefit you plenty is to make sure you continue training yourself. You're your own biggest advertisement. If you're in great shape, you probably know what you're talking about, in most cases anyway. If you've lost a load of weight, make sure you show it. You know what it takes then to get through a transformation. You can help people when they come to those weird mental sticking points that they might have because you've done it yourself. So continue to train yourself. If you're getting stronger, which is where I want to get into, is more strength-based stuff, I've got to keep getting stronger. There's no way around it. If I'm not getting stronger, obviously I'm not training right. My coaching methods probably aren't great then either, are they? If I can't get myself stronger or motivated to train or whatever it is. So if you're a physique coach, get in decent shape. Doesn't have to be like stage ready shape. We don't need to take it to the extremes unless you want to. If that's the sort of clientele you want to train, then fantastic. But just get in decent shape, lose your weight, whatever it might be, build your muscle, compete in competitions, whatever it is. A lot of these athletes that have turned into coaches, it's because they're kind of building off their reputation. Oh my God, Brett Gibbs is ridiculously strong. He must know what he's talking about. To be fair, he probably does, 7, 8, 10, 15 plus years in the industry, in training yourself, you're going to pick up a few things, okay? So again, do continue to train yourself. I think that will really help you guys. Make sure you make room to train for yourself as well. And obviously, if you get really busy, especially at these leisure centre gyms and stuff, you can be training 10, 15 people a day sometimes. You're going to be exhausted, but try and find that time. Maybe book a day off, book a 2-hour slot off, whatever. Make sure you get your training in still. Don't sacrifice that, because if you start to get sloppy, if you start coming out of shape, then again, you're probably not going to attract that new clientele. Your existing clientele will probably be fine as long as you're getting them the results. But yeah, obviously new people might not see that. And also, it sounds stupid because it is kind of wrong, but who's going to hire a fat coach if you're trying to lose weight? However, I personally believe you should always judge a coach on their results. If they're not posting much results, unfortunately, they're probably not getting many results. It's a results-driven business. This is how we work. We need to get people fitter, stronger, leaner, whatever it might be, faster, less injury prone. It's a results-driven business. So again, share your results that you're getting people, and you'll pick up the clients for sure. Cool, right, so we're just going to run into the Q&A section. So I posted on my Instagram the other day to drop me some questions about PTing. I got a few of you to respond, and then I picked a few of these up off the internet. So I just picked 5 out. Different areas of, you might be able to take this away if you're a PT yourself, or if you're interested in PT, you might pick up or something here as well. So number 1 was, why would I use a PT? So if we take it from a beginner's standpoint, PT is going to be really handy to teach you technique, so how to perform each exercise correctly and safely. So if we're talking about a deadlift or squat, or something, say like a bench press, or something you can load fairly heavy, like even a leg press, it can be quite dangerous if your technique is not right. Okay, you're going to damage your joints, you might damage your tendons, ligaments, maybe pull a muscle, or worse. So learning the technique on lots of different exercises is well worth it. And this even goes up to intermediate to advanced lifters. You might have been lifting a couple of years, but a good PT is probably going to be able to pick up something that you're doing wrong. And it might just be something really small. But again, if we're adding 2% to our lifts, if I can add 5% to a lift because of technique change, then happy days, I'm going to do that. Especially say someone that's squatting 200 kilos, add a 5% to that. You're talking a 10 kilo improvement. That's a notable jump for just fixing, say, a hip shift or a dodgy knee or knee positioning, toe positioning, something like that. So technique is number one. Accountability and motivation is number two. So sometimes, obviously, you can't be asked to train. Having a schedule with someone, be like, okay, 2 o'clock on Friday, we're training. You can't use the excuse of you're tired. You've got that financial burden as well. Oh, if I skip it, it's going to be a load of money lost. And obviously, once you get there, that PT is going to talk you through it. He's going to motivate you, inspire you to train and get the best workout possible. You can work around potential injuries. So currently, I have a gentleman that has a bit of an iffy shoulder. He could really use a PT. Obviously, I've been training for a little while, but it's mainly because we've got to adapt a lot of exercises to suit his injury. So at the moment, he can't lift his hand above his head because it's painful. So that means no lat pull downs, that means no shoulder work, that means no squatting, so he can't rotate backwards. So there's a lot of exercises cut out. Now, see, if he was left on his own, he's probably not going to do much. Luckily, he sought out a PT. And luckily I've been able to put my skills together to devise a plan where we can work everything effectively without having to endanger the shoulder, and actually start to work on that shoulder. The shoulder's got a lot better recently. And again, I fall back onto why you should hire a coach yourself. A lot of the shoulder work that I picked up off him was actually picked off of a fellow PT. So I helped him out with a strength plan, and in return he helped me out with some injury stuff. It's simple as that, guys. You learn a skill that's going to be a bit better than someone else, and someone else can be interested in it. You might be able to do a trade. So I remember trading a weightlifting plan for a powerlifting plan. Simple stuff like that, guys. You can learn real fast off some really good people. When do I need one? So there's no particular spot where you would come around like, right, I need a PT. I would suggest right at the start, again, just to go through the technique, how to plan, get a program as well, so you're actually onto a structured workout and you're not just wasting your time every time you walk in, or progressing extremely slowly where you could be progressing a lot quicker. So having structure to your plan, having technique tips and tricks at the start is going to be really handy. Like I said, if you get to a point where you're kind of sticking with your training, so again, I'll use another example. One of my powerlifting guys, he was stuck on, I believe it was 160 deadlift for a long time, potentially a couple of years, and he reached out to me finally, asked me how could I improve my deadlift, and all it was a change of planning, basically. He would just work up to a max every time he deadlifted and couldn't get over 165. Within 8 weeks, I believe he bumped that up to about 172, 175. So huge improvement for someone that's stuck on that weight for a couple years. Within 8 weeks, we managed to jump it by 10 kilos. So happy days. So like I said, he was an intermediate to advanced lifter. He's been training a little while. So again, there's no time where you wouldn't need one, but there's no time you would desperately need one. Like I said, at the start, I'd probably definitely prioritize one. And then if you were looking to take it to some sort of extreme, so some sort of bigger training event, so if you had like a competition or something, then maybe I'd look at getting a coach as well, just so you can get that little edge off someone. Question 3 is, do I need to be fit to have a PT? Answer is no. Everything we do is very scalable, so I could get someone that's never worked out before in their life and we could start training tomorrow. Obviously, all we need to do is structure the workout to their capabilities. So it's something that always kind of shocks me a little bit is I'm used to training more that intermediate advanced group. When I do get a complete beginner, it does kind of humbles me, essentially, as in they just can't do as much work as someone that's been training for a long time. It's obvious, it makes obvious sense. But yeah, you don't need to be any sort of fitness level. It's our job to bring you up to a fitness level to where you'd want to be, or at least improve it from where you are. And again, like I said, the question above, there's no time. So you could be super fit and you could get a PT as well. There's no kind of end or start fitness level that you need to be at to have a PT. Question 4 is, do I need a PT for every session I do? And the short answer to that is no. And this one, again, is independent to yourself. If you feel you need a PT with you every single session, then you need a PT every single session. For me personally, what I'd like to do is get everyone to a stage where they actually no longer need me. I like to educate my clients, and that's a service that I offer. It's not saying it's something you need to be offering. You don't need to educate your clients, but I think it does speak wonders that you can educate people on it. So you don't need every single session to be with them. Some people do, just for motivational purposes. Others do not. You might only need to check in with them, say, once or twice a week, just to see how the plan is going. Other times, again, I run programs where I'll see them once at the start, and then I might see them at the end as well, just on their max out days or their heavy days or their hard training days, whatever it might be, just again for that support, a spot, or whatever it might be. I'll generally see them at the start of, obviously, to teach them techniques and go through the training plan, but yeah, probably twice then in that 8 to 12 week period. So no, every session does not need to be with a PT. You would have a few to start with if you are brand new, but again, we would hope that eventually you would be able to perform these a few by yourself, so that we know you can make the, say, 4 or 5 times a week that we've maybe asked you to do. So thank you very much for listening, guys. Hopefully you found that interesting. If you have any topics you'd like me to cover next time, then again, please do comment them down below. And I'll try and make some longer videos. Hopefully I can get a few more guests onto this podcast, so you can get some different opinions and hear some different voices instead of just my own. But for now, guys, thank you very much. Take care and goodbye.